So, Dani, you are about to release The Screaming of Valkyries. It is it is described as both a reflection of Cradle of Filth's past and a bold step into the future. How do you see the album balancing these elements?
Hard question to ask, be honest, being that close to it. Um, there's a lot of material on the album, and we write music primarily for ourselves, and then for the fans, and don't really um, we don't really we don't really think about like designating certain parts, like genres to certain part. We just write music that's good. If it's death metal, whether it's black metal, whether it's um new wave of British heavy metal, twin guitars, whatever. I mean, there's uh we just write music that's good, and I don't really know how to answer the question, to be honest. The balance is struck because the people in the band write the music, and this is what we wrote. You may say that element may have come on board via having two new members in the band, or it may just be the outside influence, or it's hard to say. When you write an album, it's not done by numbers, and inspiration can strike you from any angle and can be anything. It could be nature, it could be world events, it could be literature, science, religion, the arts, cinema, music. It's all very dependent on the person and the situation and the time and everything, to be honest. So yeah, very difficult question to answer.
Yeah. Do you believe that the songs She is the Fire and Demon Prince Regent set the tone for the Screaming of the Valkyries?
I guess so, yeah. Say with the songs we put out prior to this, I think so. I think that was why we included them on the double live album, Trouble in the Double Lives, for that reason, to serve as a kind of gateway to the next recording, which is this album. One thing we did decide to do in our modus operandi to write a very catchy album was to dispense with the notion that we had to do a special edition. We didn't want to do that. People were moaning last time that the album was too long. And I was like, well, of course it's too long. And you bought into 16 minutes longer, and we didn't want to have any bonus tracks sitting around, for various territories. We just wanted to deliver a 9-track album, and each song on that album was very catchy and just cradle of filth, whether it be fast, slow, melancholic, tragic, extreme, cinematic, whatever. So no intro, no designated intro, no designated outro, no advert break during the middle of the album. It's just what it says what it does on the tin.
Yeah. Although your album, I would consider that something that makes sense after your last couple of albums. It's, let's say, the continuation of this. It definitely has it incorporates some influences from your earlier albums like Dusk and Her Embrace and Cruelty at the Beast. One can definitely listen to those influences from your past, from your own past. What aspects of those early records do you think that fans will recognize most?
Again, I don't know. The thing is, it's all about interpretation, and if I set the tone, it may not agree with other people's sensibilities. By mentioning that, I think I was pertaining to atmosphere. There's the atmosphere when the songs are presented for writing. They contained the same feelings and atmosphere and tensions and just the same vibe as I was feeling when I was writing during that period. And they say things come around in cycles, and maybe it is just all heady nostalgia, but that was the vibe I was getting, and other people have picked up on it too. So yeah, but it's all about how people translate the music, the lyrics, the artwork. When I was young, got into metal, and it was all about escapism, which it should be. Some of the albums didn't even have lyrics, so I would just garner my own impression of what the lyrics were about, what I could decipher. Coupled with the album artwork, it created a picture for me that stood the test of time. I recently, well, when I say recently, but over the last 20 years or so, I've been back and rebought all those albums that I got into as a kid. And yeah, that feeling that just stated when I first got those records is still there. And that's because it's strong and it's passionate and it's got a good vibe. And hopefully that translates from our record as well, and that people can make their own minds up about it. I hate sitting here and telling people, oh, this is about that, this is about that. I'm a person who, if I love a movie, I don't want to see how it's made. I don't want to know. I mean, I'm interested, yes, but I think the magic's pulled back from the curtain if you know everything about it, and that this actor did this then and this happened because of that. It's like, just fucking enjoy the film, crying out loud,
Yeah. With Cradle of Filth now 14 albums deep in their career, do you feel the creative process is easier or more challenging compared to the early days?
Well, the vibe is, the feeling is still here as a band. We still have the fire, but I would say it was more challenging just because we've moved through history, and where we may have inspired other bands after us, those bands have gone on and done things. And, the more people, the more bands, the more dilution, the more crossovers, the more subject matter has been tackled, not only in cinema and novels, but in music as well. So yeah, I mean, to forge a singular identity that's current and original obviously will get harder. I think we've attempted to do it. We stayed true to our own form, and I don't think we can self-cannibalize as a band because we have a very strong image, very strong sound. Some people may say we mastered that sound. Others may not, but fuck them. And that if you do have a strong sound, it's perfectly okay to revisit that formula, So we always have one eye on the future. This album's got amazing production. We've tried new techniques on it, new keyboard sounds and new plugins, new styles. But at the same time, there are passing nods to the stylistic elements of previous albums. And we're free to do that because it's us. And I don't think you can, as I said, self-plagiarize or self-cannibalize your own band.
Yeah. And you mentioned some different things that you brought to the album, such as the keyboard sounds and stuff, although you used the same producer for the album.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Every time we do an album, we always look to better ourselves, to change the style, to attack it from a different way. It's about, I go back to the same garage as well. Because why? Because I trust those people. They're fucking good at, working on my car. I know I'm not going to come back and when they change the tires, all the alloys going to be fucked. It's the same thing. Scott's a good friend. He's like a seventh member of the band. He's there from the first inception of the ideas right through to the finished mix. He is not jaded enough that he won't suggest changes or, and those changes might be, don't do that. It's shit. And he doesn't mollycoddle people. He doesn't like speak to their, to their ego. He literally just says as it is, and we trust him. And yeah, I mean, the answer is here. The album sounds fantastic. It's one of the best produced albums we've ever done. So he brought that to the table as well.
Mm-hmm. In the last interview we did, we spoke about the struggles of musicians in the streaming era. Have things improved at all, or is it
No,
still
no,
as
no.
tough as before? Do you see any realistic solutions, though, for artists to get fairer compensation through streaming
Well,
services?
who knows? I mean, it's money talks and bullshit walks. I mean, it's like um, all the climate um, goals we were supposed to reach, like many governments set out um, to reach a certain goal by X amount of time. I can't remember what it was in England for the majority of cars be electric. That's all gone out the window. You know, you get a dictator or two dictators start warring across the world. They're firing missiles at each other, sending, like history back into the dark ages, leveling cities, setting oil fields on fire, raising prices. And suddenly everybody's forgotten about the climate. It's all about self preservation again. Trump comes into administration. It's all about self preservation. Make America great again at the cost of everybody else. Basically, it's like money talks, like I say. What was the original question? I just got
Do you
fixated on that.
see any? Yeah, yeah. Do you see any realistic
Yeah, well, there you go
solutions?
then. Yeah, sorry. If things are presented to people for free, if people actually believe that music isn't a real entity because you can't physically pick it up, you can't physically cuddle it, um, then you'll never change people's opinion. What will need to change is that it needs to be regulated, and digital platforms need to pay the artists more money. They're making enormous fortunes. And I know the benefit of being able to access any music at any one time is great because you can discover bands, but you can do that anyway. You did that back in the day and it was more fun. You go to a record store, you read magazines, you tape trade. Less immediacy means a little more intimacy with bands, like putting a CD in the car and listen to the whole thing as the band intended it. I find even myself, and I don't have any of that apart from an Amazon one, which came free because I buy loads of CDs on it. And even then, ironically, despite the fact that I fucking spend a fortune on physical CDs, they still won't give me access to half of them on my fucking Amazon account. It's ridiculous. If but anyway, the point of it is that even when I do and I'm strapped and I can't, one set of headphones won't work with that because they've upgraded all the fucking functionality so that it's all obsolete now. Even like well, back in the day when you'd be able to load things to iPods, it's all obsolete. All my stuff on my iPod has suddenly gone, like, for example, my Bad Religion albums, 21 Bad Religion albums, all got the same album artwork now. And it doesn't find some things, it finds others. It's being rendered obsolete. It's going to a digital age. And yeah, again, money. People don't want to spend money. If they've got to spend money on stuff they don't want to, they won't. And that's the trouble here. But yes, regulation. I don't want to bang on too about it because it kind of, again, murders this whole mythology of escapism and, how cool bands are and the way they look and that. But it is a growing problem. And if you do want bands to exist in future and not be these AI drones, then things do have to change. And that's not just an idle threat. It's just a reality of the situation that bands won't be able to afford to record albums, let alone go on tour or do videos or whatever in future if it carries on the way it is.
Yeah, and mentioning tours, the touring costs have skyrocketed post-pandemic.
Absolutely.
Has it affected
I
organizing
posted
shows and doing festivals? Has it affected Cradle of Filth's ability to plan tours and festivals?
Well, no, we're lucky because obviously we've got great management, great people around us. We're doing pretty well for a band, and luckily that doesn't really affect us. But we do feel the pinch on it because, as you mentioned, everything's skyrocketed. Fuel has skyrocketed, bus hire, wages, venues now. Some venues, taking merch cuts. You got to pay for that merch. You got to pay for the shipment. Yeah, it's crazy. I had some person this morning online because I'd mentioned something with Metal Injection about I don't have a Spotify account. This is the problem, very much like I'm saying now. And the guy said, "Yeah, but what's your problem? You're making so much money off touring, merchandise, and all, you know." And it's like, you evidently are not in a band. You evidently have no fucking idea what you are talking about. So go away quickly because, yeah, all these other things are being heavily taxated, or there just isn't the opportunity. I mean, if you can't get a lot of my people that I know in smaller bands, maybe starting out, maybe just not, smaller bands, just cannot even afford to tour America because they can't afford the visa costs. I mean, we've just repaid our visas and it's like 20 grand. 20 grand to go and work and bring a country money. If anything, I hope that Trump legislates that and sees the fact that, yeah, you're getting a lot of revenue for people paying, but then you're losing much more for the amount of people who are not coming and taking their business elsewhere.
Yeah. But it's getting worse and worse, I think, year after year. Being in this business, I see that it gets worse and worse.
Monetarily, but if you live under that regime, then yeah. But for me, I'm enjoying it. I love this. I love what I'm doing. I think the pandemic may have been a bit of a reset button for me and others. But yeah, things are going very well with Cradle of Filth at the moment. New album, writing a new album behind this album. New video came out today. Co-head, got loads of festivals and gigs coming up. Zoe just married Ashok. I went to their wedding in Arizona at the beginning of the year. So yeah, things are very good. And yes, yeah, all this shit about digital platforms and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a bit ominous shadow that lurks over the music industry, sure, but the fire is still there. The core elements of why we do this job, why we are Cradle of Filth, and why we pursue what we do is still prevalent.
Yeah, and it's obvious from your last few albums that it's like a rejuvenation for you. It's like the reset button you mentioned.
Yeah, sure. Well, we are evolving.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess that you still feel the same adrenaline rush before stepping on stage as you did in the 90s.
Absolutely. I know you get a lot of people say, singers in particular, when they age, they go, "Oh, I'm singing better than ever." And then when it comes out of Vince Neil's mouth, that's not true at all. But when it comes out of Vince Neil's mouth, it's not true at all. But the fact of it is, as a band, we're performing better because we've just learned how to survive on the road better, and that's from years of trial and error. We've got, like I said, we've got great people around us, so we always book good buses, work with good people, good promoters, good booking agents, good management company, great crew, make it as comfortable as possible. Because when we get on stage, it's less than comfortable. That's it. This is what we do. Yeah, we have people who do the jobs we don't need to do. So that we do the jobs that we're supposed to be doing, which is performing on stage and doing the best we can every day. And it's a good life. It's great. And you can only get that by evolving, mutating is probably a better word. And people say, what would you change about the past? Obviously there's a lot of things a lot of ups and downs, mainly ups, but obviously there will be some downs. And I say nothing really. I mean, sure, I would have liked to have learned to keep my voice earlier. If I'd had knowledge of, certain musical styles, but that's just a learning curve. You just will never know that. So I'm cool with it. I'm really happy. I love what's going on at the moment. Not particularly in the world, but I like going on in my insular world, the world that I've created for myself, and the world that the band's created for itself.
I won't ask you what thing you would change from the past, but I would ask you if you could go back in time and give young Dani Filth one piece of advice before starting Cradle of Filth. Which advice would it be?
Don't be a cunt. That would be it. Don't be a cunt. Which is a universal saying, really, to be honest. You know, everybody should stop being cunts.
Okay, and what about the Ed Sheeran song? Where are we at?
Well, it's done. We're no different from where we were last time. It's finished. It's ready to go. We didn't want it overshadowing our album. Ed has something in the pipeline at the moment that doesn't want overshadowing. So it'll probably be next year. It's not going anywhere. It's all done. It sounds fantastic. And unless, you know, you've got the likes of Immortal working with, I don't know, Megan the Stallion anytime soon, I can't really see anybody taking away from the beauty of it. It's just a weird mixture, but a beautiful song. It's exactly what it says it doesn't. It sounds like Ed Sheeran. It sounds like Cradle of Filth. It's got a blast beat in it. Ed pushes himself, plays acoustic guitar. There's heavy guitars. It's a banger. But unfortunately, not well. It's not unfortunate. It will come out.
Okay, you have an album to push now. It's your priority. It's Cradle of Filth. It's your
Exactly.
priority, definitely. I think that everybody should get it because that's the thing. And what's next after the Screaming of Valkyries? You told me that you're already working on new songs. So I guess more album, something like a special anniversary tour. Would you do things like this?
Yeah, we're up for a lot of things. We've got things in the pipeline which I can't talk about that are big and exciting. We have a clothing deal with Vetements, the fashion house brand, which is massive, which is going to be really cool. They're just doing like a time capsule of Cradle stuff. We got a partnership with Blackcraft Clothing and their coffee brand. We've got co-headline tour with Dying Fetus on the Chaos and Carnage touring festival that's happening in America mid-April. Summer festivals, it's got loads of shit going on. It's all good because we're enjoying it. I'm not moaning about it at all. Bring it on. Bring it on.
That's how you become a millionaire.
I'm about survival at the present. But yeah, it'd be nice to own another fleet of yachts.
Yeah, as John Oliva is always saying from Savaras, I am the poorest millionaire in the world.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for your time, Dani. I really appreciate your taking time to answer my questions.
My pleasure. My absolute pleasure.